Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're jumping into a set of source documents that honestly lay out something pretty revolutionary. It's not just an update to the internet. It's like a blueprint to wipe the slate clean, install a whole new global operating system.
Yeah, and to really get the scale of the ambition here, let's start with this hypothetical the sources use. It really frames the opportunity. Imagine you had a time machine, right? It could go back 20 years, right? Back to the start of Epic Games. Think about investing in the Unreal Engine ecosystem, the whole thing. Tools, assets, those huge virtual worlds, billion-dollar businesses running on it. I mean, that'd be the easiest investment decision ever, wouldn't it? Okay, now here's the twist. This is what defines today's deep dive. Imagine an exact clone of that massive creator-driven ecosystem. Right now, today, same potential, same scale, same ability to host these vast worlds, but, and get this, built with zero infrastructure costs.
Zero infrastructure costs.
Zero. No servers, no cloud hosting fees, no data centers, and kind of unbelievably, no employees needed just to keep the basic infrastructure running. It sounds like something out of sci-fi, doesn't it? But that phrase, zero infrastructure costs, that's the absolute core of the pitch deck we're looking at. And this isn't just some decentralized app idea. It's a whole blueprint for something called Cloud Atlas OS. They literally describe it as, and I'm quoting here, the world's first truly decentralized ecosystem, a new operating system for Earth.
Wow.
And the founders, they're really clear. This is Web3, but they keep stressing, not crypto. They claim the architecture gives you infinite scalability, resilience, but with zero volatility. That's the big difference they push compared to, typical blockchain stuff. It's meant to be infrastructureless, self-scaling, and basically unstoppable.
Okay, so our mission today is to really unpack this vision for you, the listener. We need to understand the tech that makes that zero-cost claim possible, right? And then there's this radical governance model they call swarm governance. How does that actually work? And what are the real-world implications? I mean, if this thing actually takes off and starts replacing giants like Meta, YouTube, Google Maps, even things like Kickstarter for civic stuff.
Exactly. We've got the investor pitch, GitHub docs on the P2P stack, and an interview that digs into the philosophy behind it all, this idea of the golden cage.
So yeah, this is a deep dive into something that's not just tweaking the internet. It's aiming for a total rewire, a post-platform society, as they call it. All right, so before they pitch the solution, Cloud Atlas OS starts with a pretty harsh look at where the internet went wrong. The sources argue that basically social media and modern gaming kind of failed us.
Yeah, they have this powerful analogy. Social media promised, meaningful connection, civic power, but what did we get? Distraction, an endless loop. Dopamine hits from likes, doom scrolling through terrible news floods, wars, corruption.
You see the problems, the real-world crises.
Right, but your response is just liking, sharing, maybe an angry comment. You consume the problem, but you're not really doing anything about it.
And that critique hits gaming just as hard, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah. Billions, literally billions of collective human hours. Huge amounts of money poured into building virtual worlds, leveling up characters, getting achievements that mean, well, nothing in the real world.
And the sources say this isn't an accident. The whole digital infrastructure is, quote, rigged from the root. It's built for engagement, for shareholder value, not utility or real action.
They pinpoint 3 fundamental flaws in the current system. Flaws that Cloud Atlas OS is designed to completely bypass. First is platform control. Think Google, Apple, Meta, the gatekeepers.
Right. Arbitrary rules, huge fees, like 30% sometimes. They control what you see with algorithms. They can ban you, throttle you if you threaten their control.
Exactly. Second flaw, infrastructure costs. We kind of touched on this. Those AWS bills, server maintenance, scaling up, it's incredibly expensive.
So expensive it kills innovation.
Right.
Especially for civic stuff.
Totally. You might have a brilliant idea for your local community, but you can't scale it globally without millions just for hosting. So you need VC money, and then comes the pressure to monetize like crazy.
Which brings us to the third flaw.
Throttled participation. Even when good tools do exist, maybe a local petition site, a neighborhood help group, they're just buried.
Lost under all the noise, the ads, the algorithms, trying to keep you scrolling instead of acting.
Your ability to participate is scattered, marginalized, makes it super hard to coordinate anything with real impact at scale. You, the user, become the product, and collective action, throttled.
Okay, so this whole analysis, this critique, it leads right into the philosophical core of the project. This idea from the founder, Bo, called the golden cage. This is where it gets kind of existential.
Yeah, the golden cage. It's a really sobering thought experiment. It basically says modern society gives us lots of personal freedoms. That's the golden part. But it simultaneously limits how we can respond to really extreme stuff, like major injustices. The system kind of corrals our responses into only the tools it legally allows.
Like calling 911, starting a petition, crowdfunding on approved sites, maybe a licensed protest?
Exactly. Those specific legally permitted tools. So if you see something deeply wrong, your legal options are this fragmented set, predefined by the existing power structure.
And you can't just instantly coordinate a massive global response because the tools are all separate, siloed.
Precisely. And the system tolerates these fragmented actions. A viral petition, a GoFundMe, they're tolerated because they're scattered. They don't connect. They lack network effect.
They raise awareness, maybe, but they don't usually force fundamental change in policy or how resources are used.
Right, so the result is this invisible prison. We feel free, we can speak out, but our ability to take effective, collective, networked action is contained, managed.
So the stability we feel, the comfort, the cage, it's kept stable by making sure our attempts to act together are too fragmented to really challenge the status quo.
That's the constraint they're targeting. And Cloud Atlas OS tries to flip the script, not by doing illegal things, no, but by hacking legality through aggregation, coordination.
So they're not calling for revolution outside the law?
Not at all. They're bundling all those scattered legal tools, brainstorming, mapping, organizing, funding, streaming into one single, unified, highly visible interface. A geospatial one.
And because it's built on this zero-cost global network, individual frustrations can suddenly become coordinated collective power.
That's the claim. Maximum visibility through things like their Mission TV, this central spatial map where everything connects. It maximizes your power within the legal framework. The whole focus shifts away from just passively consuming news, the dopamine and doom scrolling, towards coordinated, immediate action on real-world problems.
So like a local injustice isn't just a viral tweet anymore.
Exactly. It becomes an active mission. It has a live stream, a crowd investigation mapped out in 3D, real-time funding, a transparent record of what happens, all in one OS.
Still perfectly legal.
Perfectly legal, but the network effect, the coordination, it generates a level of impact that's much harder for the current system to just ignore or dismiss.
Okay, the philosophy is big, ambitious, but the most radical claim is the engineering. We have to dig into this technical miracle they're proposing. How do you run a global OS hosting huge knowledge bases, 3D games, video streaming, and have it scale infinitely with zero infrastructure costs? I mean, seriously, where did the AWS bill go?
Yeah, the bill just vanishes. Because they're trying to fundamentally change the infrastructure model itself. They call it a global public computer. And it scales differently, not by buying more servers vertically, but horizontally, with more users.
So the network gets stronger and faster with every user.
That's the core idea. They use the analogy of digital mycelium, like a fungus network. Every user automatically becomes a node. You passively contribute a bit of your device's unused bandwidth, maybe some CPU power, to the network.
Okay, so if 100 million people are using it, the cost to run the core infrastructure is still zero. But the performance, the resilience, it actually goes up because all those devices are powering it.
Exactly. Exponentially. It's a staggering potential efficiency. But let's get granular. You're right. We need the specifics. How does the P2P architecture actually make this zero infrastructure thing real?
Yeah, break it down for us.
Absolutely. So the architecture is basically a decentralized stack. It uses existing open protocols, stuff that's been around and tested, but connects them in a really novel way to avoid needing servers. First, the foundation is WebRTC. This is super important. It lets peers connect directly, user-to-user syncing.
Peer-to-peer. So data, messages, real-time stuff goes straight from me to you. No expensive server in the middle.
Precisely. Secure, authenticated channel cuts out the middleman. That handles all the live interactions, messaging, location updates on the map, that kind of thing.
Okay, but wait. If WebRTC is the direct pipe, how do our devices even find each other? Especially if we're on opposite sides of the world, don't you usually need a central server just to make that initial connection, that signaling?
Good call. That's where they had to be clever to keep the zero-cost promise. The signaling protocols are designed to be serverless and resilient. They piggyback on existing decentralized zero-cost public networks. Specifically, they use established BitTorrent trackers.
Like the ones used for file sharing.
Exactly like those. And also the Nostr protocol. These act like decentralized phone books. They help user A find user B's address without Cloud Atlas OS having to run or pay for the phone book server itself.
Okay, that makes sense. Leverage existing public infrastructure.
Right. And Nostr is key for resilience, too. It's designed to be censorship resistant. Lots of volunteer relays run globally, cost the project nothing. So it's a fallback. If one signaling method gets blocked or shut down, the system can still find peers using the others, unbannable or close to it.
So the platform itself is more like a really smart, lightweight front end that uses these robust, public, decentralized networks as its actual backbone.
You got it. Then, for the big stuff, delivering massive files for the 3D encyclopedia or high-quality video for Mission TV, they use WebTorrent.
Another peer-to-peer protocol.
Yep. Efficient asset delivery across the peer network. And they mention a smart trick. In the 3D world, heavy assets only load when they're actually in your camera view or nearby.
Optimization, so it doesn't try to load the whole world at once.
Right. Maximizes performance, keeps bandwidth use way down compared to, say, traditional game engines.
Okay, now the tricky part that kind of made us pause when we read the critique, data persistence. If there are no central servers, where does everything live? Especially the knowledge base. And the sources mention old records get deleted locally after 30 days. Oh. That seems contradictory. How do you keep the whole knowledge base if bits are always disappearing?
Yeah, this is the crucial bit that makes it different from just simple file sharing. Persistence relies mostly on local storage using IndexedDB, so data lives in your browser cache.
Okay.
The 30-day deletion. That's mainly for privacy and maybe some regulatory reason. But the system relies on scale, sheer volume, and constant replication. Key stuff, verified knowledge, mission archives, game states, it gets automatically copied and passed around between all the online users. Constantly.
So it's less like a single hard drive and more like a giant, global, constantly refreshing cache.
Exactly. A live cache spread across everyone who's online. New users just download the history from the swarm of existing online users. For the system to hold on to its history indefinitely, it needs enough active users online globally at any given time. The whole user base becomes this massive, distributed RAM and storage unit, always updating itself.
Wow. So instead of buying servers, permanence comes from ubiquity, having enough people using it. That's elegant, but also kind of scary. If the user base drops too low, the history literally starts to fade.
It is a dependency, absolutely. It basically forces rapid global adoption for resilience, which leads to why they built it to be super developer-friendly, modular, composable. They claim it works with any language, framework, tech stack, C++, C#, Rust, JavaScript, whatever.
That's huge for developers. They hate being locked into proprietary systems. So what's the pitch to them?
Radical simplicity. The idea is you just focus on the front end, the user experience, the art, the logic. Cloud Atlas OS handles the entire decentralized backend for you. Plug-and-play hosting, data, P2P comms.
Okay, and the claim that really made us raise an eyebrow, migrating an existing app takes replacing just 3 lines of code. That sounds way too easy.
It definitely sounds simplified, right? It probably depends heavily on the app's existing structure. But the source argues that if your app is already modular front-end, separated from back-end logic, their driver just swaps out your standard centralized HTTP calls for P2P requests handled by the OS. It's a bold pitch, basically saying, ditch AWS, stop paying hosting fees, use us for free. If they can actually demonstrate the 3-line swap works easily, yeah, that could massively disrupt the cloud market.
All right, zero infrastructure engine. Theoretically possible. The next big shift is the interface itself. No more scrolling feeds, menus, app lists like we're used to. The 3D globe is the desktop.
Yeah, the globe replaces all that traditional navigation. Discovery becomes geographic, not based on keywords or what an algorithm feeds you. The main instruction is literally zoom in, act locally, think globally. The vision is this single platform fusing, like the location power of Google Maps, the knowledge of Wikipedia, and the ecosystem of an app store, all visualized spatially.
Okay, let's break down the pieces living in this 3D world, starting with how they handle knowledge, the virtual encyclopedia.
This is pretty wild. The system is designed to take over 6 million standard Wikipedia articles and transform them into immersive animated 3D objects and scenes.
Animated, like not just static model.
Animated, interactive, and then geolocated accurately on the map. So you zoom into London, and instead of just text, you see a 3D interactive globe theater pop up. And all this content gets shared efficiently using WebTorrent across the peer network. Knowledge isn't passive text anymore. It's something you spatially experience.
Okay, but the mechanism for checking facts.
Yeah.
That's fascinating. Truth checking by exploration. How do you verify stuff without central editors looking over everything?
It cleverly shifts the burden of proof. Instead of fact-checkers, it relies on anomaly detection based on spatial logic.
Spatial logic.
Yeah, the knowledge base is meant to be coherent, like the real world. Physics, location. It should make sense spatially. The example they use is great. If you zoom in somewhere and see a, quote, green giraffe sipping coffee at Starbucks.
Okay, definitely an anomaly.
Right, it's absurd. It contradicts observable reality, spatial logic. That obvious conflict automatically flags the underlying data, whether it's the Wikipedia source or the 3D model for correction by the swarm.
So errors basically out themselves because they just look wrong in the context of the connected 3D world. It forces the knowledge to act like a coherent physical system.
Exactly. And think about the implications for education. It could shift learning from just reading static stuff to active spatial immersion, finding anomalies, exploring, identifying discrepancies.
Learning becomes like detective work within the environment.
Potentially, yeah. And the implication for big knowledge, like Wikipedia, it's huge. If Wikipedia doesn't adapt to offer this kind of spatial, 3D, verifiable layer, Cloud Atlas OS could genuinely become the default visual learning tool for a generation, maybe making traditional Wikipedia feel obsolete.
Wow. Okay, moving to the next layer, the functional stuff. The app game open world layer. This is the toolkit for developers, right?
Yeah.
The Unreal Engine part.
Right. And it's designed for maximum flexibility, composability. It's a mix of visual building tools, a 3D world editor, and a big code repository. People can build or remix apps and games using drag and drop, writing code, or, and this is key, AI prompts.
The magic button feature they mentioned. Tell us about that.
Yeah, the magic button. It's pitched as this future-ready AI creation engine. You just describe what you want, like generate a detailed New York City cyberpunk-style first-person shooter with geolocated missions, and boom, the system supposedly generates the code, assets, logic, a playable, monetizable real-world game, potentially in seconds.
Based on pulling from open-source assets and data layers already in the system.
That's the idea. If you can clearly describe the experience, the AI can theoretically assemble it from the available components.
But the really crucial part isn't just making virtual stuff. It's linking custom logic to real-world places.
Yeah.
The real world as a programmable interface.
That's the core power, yeah. Every GPS coordinate becomes like an anchor point for code. Imagine walking down your street and triggering a user-built scavenger hunt, or seeing an augmented reality art piece someone put there, or even claiming a reward for doing some task in a specific area like a mutual aid thing.
All open source, user-built on the OS.
Exactly. Cities could even potentially use this instead of proprietary tourist apps or citizen reporting tools. It directly links digital action to physical space.
Okay, and the last piece of this interface puzzle, Mission TV. They call it Twitch for real-world impact.
Yeah, this basically closes the loop. You've got the knowledge, encyclopedia, the tools, app layer, and now the action visibility. Users can stream themselves live while working on real-world missions, maybe coordinating a neighborhood cleanup, helping with disaster relief, even doing some kind of crowdsourced investigation like checking building codes.
And viewers can tune in, fund the mission using the platform's credits, maybe even join in locally.
That's the goal. And the explicit aim here is to create a whole new kind of influencer, the good human. They want a system where people get rewarded tips, recognition, visibility for doing good things and inspiring others. It's trying to make social change, collective repair, into compelling global entertainment.
Okay, P2P tech, spatial interface, Mission TV for action. Now, how does collective action actually get decided and organized? Swarm governance. The founders pitch this as a huge shift. Not government by voting, but government by doing. A fluid, mission-driven thing.
Right. They define it as this decentralized coordination model. Users spot problems often right there on the map, tied to a location. They co-develop solutions together. Then they validate those solutions through social consensus and funding mechanisms built right in. The map itself becomes this geospatial canvas for civic innovation, as they put it, a living workspace.
And it's not just simple majority voting, is it? The sources say swarm governance pulls from several established kind of complex governance ideas. We should probably touch on those.
Definitely. It's a blend. First, direct democracy for transparency, direct input from everyone. Second, sociocracy.
The sociocracy. That's about consent, right? Not just majority rule.
Exactly. Consent-based decisions. Things move forward unless someone has a really strong, reasoned objection. It pushes towards solutions everyone can at least live with, not just 51% winning.
Okay, and the third one mentioned is docracy. That's less common.
Docracy is crucial here. It's the principle that the people doing the work get to decide the specifics. So if a mission is about, say, redesigning a local park, the folks actually drawing the plans, getting the funding, sorting permits, they have the main say on the technical details, provided the overall plan already passed the broader consensus check. It rewards actual contribution, not just opinions.
So it sounds like it replaces rigid institutions with these fluid, mission-focused teams, using agile ideas for quick, iterative action.
That's the structure. But the truly radical part, and maybe the most challenging, is the core filter. This constraint, inspired by Buckminster Fuller.
Ah, yes, the 100% solution.
The 100% solution. This is meant to be the main safety mechanism against zero-sum games, against one group winning at another's expense. The rule is strict. Missions must be designed to work for 100% of humanity.
100%.
100%. In the shortest possible time, without harming the environment and without disadvantaging anyone.
Hang on. 100% agreement. On anything complex, that sounds impossible. Like it would just paralyze everything. Doesn't that raise the bar so high that nothing ever gets done?
That's the exact philosophical tension, isn't it?
Yeah.
The founder argues that our current system's 51% wins, or maybe 1% dictates policy, actually encourage compromise and zero-sum thinking, where someone has to lose for someone else to win. The 100% rule is a design filter. It's meant to force positive sum thinking. If your proposed mission creates a disadvantage for any identifiable group, it fails the consensus test. It can't proceed within the OS framework. The goal becomes innovating past the conflict entirely.
Wow, that's a massive structural block against partisan fighting. You literally can't use the system just to push your group's agenda if it harms another group. How does this actually work with really controversial issues? The sources used abortion as an example, right?
Yeah, it's a powerful illustration of how it tries to bypass political deadlock. If someone creates a mission to, say, ban abortion completely, it clearly disadvantages women seeking health care, fails the 100% test, instantly blocked. Conversely, a mission to mandate abortion in some cases, that disadvantages people with religious or conscience objections, fails a test again.
So, what happens? Nothing.
No, the system forces the conversation up a level. The consensus solution that can pass has to be comprehensive. It must address the root causes, protect everyone's fundamental rights. So it means funding and implementing things like universal access to contraception, real sex education, economic security for parents, easy adoption processes, solutions that work for all sides by tackling the underlying systemic issues without violating anyone's core values or rights.
That constraint is kind of staggering. It structurally pushes collective effort away from adversarial politics, I win, you lose, towards genuine, holistic problem solving.
It's designed to be an accelerator for collective intelligence precisely because it rejects solutions based on compromise where someone gets hurt or outright subjugation. So the mechanism flows like this. Identify a problem on the map, brainstorming, co-develop solutions using docracy, sociocracy, crowdfunding with platform credits, mission, TV, action, knowledge archiving, results feedback into the 3D encyclopedia.
Let's quickly hit the compliance piece on crowdfunding. How does a decentralized system, potentially handling lots of money, avoid massive legal trouble with money transmission laws, especially without central KYC?
Yeah, the funding model seems very carefully designed to minimize risk and stay compliant. The key is the platform itself never touches fiat currency directly. All real money transactions go through established third-party payment processors, like Stripe. Those guys handle the KYC, the anti-money laundering checks, all the standard compliance stuff for the users.
Okay, so Cloud Atlas OS isn't the bank.
Exactly. The OS only issues its own internal credits. They're non-refundable, non-redeemable. Users buy these credits to back the missions they support.
And the crucial legal move. The source says the money goes directly to verified service providers, not the person who started the campaign.
That's the firewall. So if you start a mission to clean a river, the money raised doesn't come to you. The fiat equivalent of those credits goes straight to a registered, verified third party, maybe a licensed contractor, an NGO, an aid group who actually performs the work.
Oh, okay.
It ensures transparency, reduces risk for backers, and crucially, it aims to minimize the platform's exposure under money transmission laws. They aren't moving money between people, they're selling a digital credit for a service provided by verified third parties. It functions more like a marketplace for project execution.
Okay, so Cloud Atlas OS isn't just aiming for a small niche in the P2P world. It's going after huge markets, right? Hundreds of billions of dollars currently dominated by big tech.
Oh, yeah, explicitly. They see themselves disrupting global social platforms. That's $250 billion plus. Knowledge and edtech, maybe $400 billion. Gaming, another $250 billion. App marketplaces, $200 billion. They do this by breaking down the functions of these big platforms into decentralized modular tools.
And the implication is, big tech loses its grip. Their monopoly on information, money, social organizing starts to crumble if services move from these closed silos to open protocols.
That's the forecast in the sources, yeah. The inevitable collapse of proprietary silos when faced with open, interoperable, and potentially free alternatives.
And because they're post-infrastructure, zero hosting costs, their revenue model can be different. Value aligned, not extractive, they say. They don't need that 30% cut just to keep the lights on.
Exactly. The revenue streams are designed to be proportional to the value actually created. A small cut from crowdfunding campaigns and Mission TV tips or ads. A developer revenue share, similar to Unreal Engine, they only make money if the developer using their tools succeeds. And a virtual goods marketplace.
Let's talk about the most disruptive economic idea here, though. The moral ad economy. This sounds like a complete flip of how ads work now.
It really is. It's designed to force brands to earn visibility by doing good. Mandatory real-world repair. The rule in the pitch deck is super clear. Only companies with proven positive impact, green credentials, ethical supply chains, maybe direct reparations for past harm are even allowed to advertise on the platform.
Wow. So a big oil company or a fast fashion brand known for issues, they can't just buy ads. They'd have to prove they're actually fixing things first.
That's the rule. Tangible, measurable, positive impact is the entry ticket. The sources even say the more you've damaged, the more you must give back to be seen.
So advertising becomes a contribution mechanism.
Yeah.
You have to fund missions, essentially, proportional to their negative footprint, just to get seen.
Basically, yeah. It integrates accountability right into the money layer. It tries to transform advertising from just interrupting you for profit into a required contribution to the public good.
That is a phenomenal incentive shift. Brands have to align with the collective goals, the missions happening on the map, just to market themselves. Driving real impact becomes the price of admission. Okay, given the zero-cost structure, the funding ask is tiny. We'll get to that. But first, the launch strategy. How do they plan to get this thing everywhere on a shoestring budget? The Viral Star campaign.
Pure guerrilla marketing tactics. High impact, super low cost. The claim is the whole viral launch budget is under $10,000.
$10,000 to launch a global OS.
Sounds crazy, right? The plan is to create 50 to 100 custom celebrity endorsement videos, maybe using real stars paid small amounts through platforms like Cameo, or using advanced AI deepfakes of famous people who aren't available, or even these AI-generated characters from places like Higgsfield AI.
So it's a borrow audience strategy. Yeah. Hijack attention streams across dozens of different niches. Sports fans, sci-fi geeks, comedians audiences, local political figures. Try to make Cloud Atlas OS a household name almost overnight.
That seems to be the plan. Build instant emotional connection and recognition very, very quickly.
But seriously, $10,000 to disrupt trillions in market cap.
Yeah.
That's where my skepticism really kicks in.
And you're right to be skeptical. It sounds almost fantastical. But the founder's defense is, since the product scales for free, the only real cost is getting people to adopt it. And if the platform genuinely solves that golden cage frustration for users, the viral loop should be inherently strong. The goal isn't sustained marketing spend. It's hitting critical mass in, 72 hours.
Okay, a flashbang approach. And the funding ask reflects that minimalism. How much are they actually asking for?
Tiny. Between $50,000 and $150,000 total. And its milestone-based money is only released as specific independent modules get completed.
Right, and the source mentioned the founder.
Yeah.
Built the whole MVP solo, full-stack developer.
Yeah, and is apparently targeting a personal budget of just 6,000 euros a year to live as a digital nomad and work on this full-time.
Wow. Okay, that shows dedication, but also highlights how different the economics are if that zero-cost architecture holds up. They're funding a stipend and a marketing blast, not a data center.
Although we do have to raise the question of sustainability there, right? That's putting immense pressure on one person operating on, well, practically nothing. It's a significant risk factor. #tag outro.
So what we've really explored today goes way beyond just another software project. It's like a blueprint for fundamentally restructuring our digital lives. Cloud Atlas OS is trying to shift us away from centralized platforms, away from gatekeepers, towards open, decentralized protocols that are, collectively owned, collectively maintained.
Yeah, by breaking down all these major functions, social stuff, knowledge, games, even civic action, into these decentralized building blocks, these composable tools, it basically positions itself to just bypass the old bureaucracies and platforms, makes them optional. The founders argue that traditional policymaking could start to be replaced by these dynamic bottom-up missions that emerge directly from the collective users.
And if it actually scales globally, hits that critical mass needed for the data to stick around. The sources suggest society itself might start to, quote, think and act like a swarm, accelerating collective intelligence, always pushed by that 100% solution filter and the map interface.
But we absolutely have to end on the trade-off. The sources themselves are candid about this. This level of openness, this extreme decentralization, human agency at planetary scale, it's inherently messy, chaotic. It will attract noise, disinformation, probably complex power struggles. It's not some guaranteed utopia. It's a system that basically amplifies everyone's voice, for better or worse.
Which leaves the final question, the provocative thought this blueprint raises for you, the listener. It's this. Traditional systems, they hide their flaws. Centralized control offers a kind of stability, maybe, but it's a managed injustice, the golden cage.
Yeah.
Cloud Atlas OS does the opposite. It makes every flaw, every argument, every potential misuse visible, forkable, and improvable by the people directly affected. So if you had the choice, would you prefer the stability of that cage, knowing your own agency is limited but things are somewhat contained? Or would you choose maximum, potentially chaotic human agency, accepting that every conflict, every bit of fake news, every societal problem is right there in the open and fundamentally your problem to help solve?
The world might just find out which one humanity really prefers, especially if that infrastructure bill truly does hit zero.